friends, welcome to the Inspired Knitting Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby, and I am coming to you from Kingston, Ontario, Canada. Today is Sunday, August the 13th, 2023. I would first like to start the podcast off by welcoming any new viewers who are tuning in for the first time, and to my returning viewers, welcome back. This is a podcast about my knitting and crocheting adventures, and sometimes they're spinning, so lots of fibery fun. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram as Inspired Knitting Podcast, and you can also check me out on Ravelry as X Country Girl 1986X. You can find all that below in the description box along with the show notes. I link you directly to any designers, patterns that I talk about, as well as any makers. So yeah, it has been, I think it's been 2 weeks since we last spoke. It's been super busy here. I've been kind of vague with you all on what's going on. So I'm just going to come out with it. To anybody who is new to the podcast, 3 years ago, my family and I experienced a house fire. We are from Ontario, but we were living in New Brunswick, and we lost everything. We lost the house, we lost it all. So we decided to come back to Ontario, and I can't say that it's been bad because it has not. We have had a very blessed journey. We've seen Northern Ontario, which is amazing and beautiful. And I have found my forever sister and the most beautiful person in this world, Angel. She's my Nomi. I call her my Nomi. She's my best friend, but she's my Nomi, and yeah. I was meant to come back here, so there's no way I could sit here and say right now that I have regrets, because I do not. So yeah, we've come back to Southern Ontario. That's where we are now, here in Kingston. But just to put a long story short, the past 3 years, there's been a lot of soul searching. There's been just a lot of where do we belong? We're trying to find our place, and just after, like I said, a lot of soul searching, we just realized that, you know, maybe we shouldn't have left, because all we talk about is the Maritimes and how much we miss it. And we kind of knew this last year before we moved back here to Southern Ontario, but it wasn't in the cards at the time to move back to the Maritimes, but it came up this spring, and we were like, we should just go for it. We should just do it. We've done a lot of moving around, but yeah, we're just happier there, and we decided that that's what we're going to do. So I'm gonna say about early September, mid-September is when the official move is going to take place. So I am like super excited, but I'm also nervous because it has been 3 years since I've done like a big road trip like that. So it's like 14 to 1600 kilometers. We are in the southeastern portion of New Brunswick, so it's close to the Nova Scotia, it's close to Nova Scotia, as well as Prince Edward Island. It's like the most amazing area. And so yeah, I'm nervous just because it's been 3 years since I did a big road trip like that. I've done them many times before, but my anxiety has been a lot worse, I would say, over the past 3 years. And now when I'm in a vehicle, I even get car sickness, and I've never gotten car sickness before. Now I'm wondering, we have a wheelchair van, and so I'm now sitting in the back of that in my wheelchair. So I'm wondering if maybe that has anything to do with it. So a lot of my knitting, I have a hard time doing it now in a vehicle, just because looking down at my knitting or my phone, it just makes me car sick. So And also we got 3 kitty cats now. So the first trip, when we moved from New Brunswick up here, we had 1 cat, Rami, and she took it like a trooper. She did it so well. But now we've got 3 kitty cats. So if you have pets, you know what I'm talking about. They're my children, they're my babies. So I worry about them. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting, but it's also gonna be nice. So I have no plans of moving again. Not happening. But I'm also excited to come back, and I miss the ocean. I just miss the slower pace of living. It's everything about the Maritimes is amazing. And to the friends that I have left behind as well, and to new ones that I hope to make. I have some people in the knitting community that I am friends with who I would love to meet. Hi, Sophie. I would love to meet you and knit with you one day. That would be amazing. So yeah, there's a lot of good things, and I'm pretty excited about it. So all that to say, I'm not sure if I will be back in 2 weeks to podcast. I should be. There shouldn't be a problem. I guess it will just come down to time, if I have the time. Like, we are in the process of packing, which is why my backdrop keeps changing. I keep moving around. Don't mind the mess, because we're in the process of organizing and packing at the moment. So with everything and my anxiety being, kind of high, my knitting has kind of fallen backwards. I haven't been doing it as much, as well as the fact that I fell down the reading rabbit hole, and I don't regret it. I absolutely am loving it. I used to read before I knitted, or I started off as a crocheter. Before I crocheted and knitted, I was huge into reading, and since becoming a crafter, I haven't been reading. So I rekindled that love, and I have totally fallen down the rabbit hole. So I will have a little bit of a book section after the knitting to share with you, if that's your thing and you like reading too. So that will be in today's podcast. But so yeah, my knitting is it's in a bad state right now. But don't worry, the podcast is not going anywhere. I promise I will be back, even if it's like super short ones. But I will try to be back in 2 weeks. I don't see it being a problem. But just in case it's not, you know why. Everything is good, just super busy. So anyways, I am going to start the show and stop babbling. Today's drink of choice is actually a glass of wine. It is almost 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock in the Maritimes, almost 6. So I just, I've had a cup of coffees today, and I just wanted something cold to drink, and I wanted to mellow out. So I am drinking one of my favorites. It's a Pinot Grigio, I think that's how they say it, and Chardonnay. Chardonnay is one of my favorites. I am a white wine drinker. I try the red. I know red is healthier, but I just can't take the bitterness of it. So I got my Chardonnay here, and that's going to be my drink of choice today. So I want you guys to grab your knitting or your crochet and your beverage of choice, and let's get started. Very good. Okay, so I have some finished objects. I have some works in progress. I have just one thing in stash enhancement, and then, as I said, I'm just going to do a little bit of a book section, which I haven't done before. So the first thing that I'm going to share with you is a new pair of socks. So I saw on Instagram that Summer Lee Knits was doing a Shorty Cal. So it was a 2-week challenge. So you grab your skein of variegated yarn, and you knit one of her Shorty sock patterns. So the sock pattern that she had suggested is part of her sock patterns, Shorty sock pattern set. So it is a sock pattern B that she recommended. So here is my finished pair. And if you have not heard of Summerlee Knits, I recommend that you do check it out. I will have her linked below. Her patterns are amazing, and I really love it because she comes out with collections of socks. So this particular collection, there's 3 different sock patterns. They're all Shorties, and each of the 3 comes in a striped or faded sequence that you could follow. So for her 2-week challenge, you did the Shorty sock B pattern, which there's nothing fancy about it. It's just got some ribbing. It's got a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. And then it's just vanilla for the foot. And so yeah, you were to knit it in 2 weeks, or try to. I failed miserably. I think I finished this pair I think 4 days after after the challenge, but that's okay because I had this beautiful skein variegated in my stash. This is Northern Pearl. I believe this was a 2021 colorway. It was one of her anniversary colorways, and I got 2 skeins of it, so I was gonna do a t-shirt with it, and I end up frogging it out a couple months ago. So I decided that I'm going to do socks. So here is my pair of Shorties, and I absolutely love them. I tried them on and they fit perfectly. I did 64 stitches. It does come in a 56, 64, and a 72 stitch count, and they are amazing. I absolutely love them. And as I said, you could use your variegated, but you could also do the stripes, or the stripes look really nice, as well as the faded ones. There's options in the pattern for that as well. So really had a lot of fun with this, and they are perfect. So originally I had knit these for myself, and they still can be for myself, but Kaylee, my really good friend, is now living with us, and she's kind of taken them for herself. So it's all good. It really is. As long as they get worn and loved, it's all good. But now we have 3 people in the house that are fighting for socks. So I don't mind. This pair goes in our, I have a basket with all my hand knit socks in it, and they're for everybody who wants to enjoy them, so it's all good. But they fit perfectly. So I can't remember if the ribbing here was actually this long. I might have done it a little bit longer, just because I have made Shorty socks before, and I found that if the ribbing is too short here, or the leg is too short, that they tend to fall off my foot. Something else I'm realizing about myself is that I need a slightly longer gusset. So sometimes when I do a vanilla sock, I knit them on a 2mm magic loop. Sometimes what I do is I knit a 56 stitch sock because I notice that my gauge is a lot looser. So what I end up doing is if I do 56 stitches, then you would only knit, I feel I would be giving it away, but your gusset would be shorter. I won't say how many rows you do, but your gusset would be slightly shorter. So what I do is I take the gusset instructions from the 64 stitch count, making it slightly longer. So if you have like a wider foot or a bigger, is that called an instep? Then you may need a longer gusset so it doesn't fall off your heel. So I am starting to learn, the more that I knit socks, I'm starting to learn more about myself and the perfect fit. So that's what I have been doing. But this sock I did 64 stitches and they actually turned out perfect. So I did that. So that is the Shorty sock set, part of the Shorty sock collection by Summerly Knits. I swear to you guys that I only just had one sip of wine, but I can't talk. Okay, so I did those. And then the next thing I did, I finished my second baby vertebrae. Okay, this is gonna be an interesting one, guys. I can tell. I finished my second baby vertebrae, and I am not going to try to pronounce the designer's name. I will either put it across the screen here or in the description box below. But it is quite a popular pattern. I've seen it around for quite a long time. So I decided to do a stripy version, and I did the second size in the pattern. So the pattern starts at newborn size, and there's several different sizes. I believe there's 5 different sizes in the pattern. So I did the second size in the pattern, which I believe is a 6-month size. And I decided to do stripes. And I brought it along because last time it wasn't washed or blocked, but this is the newborn size. It is the same baby vertebrae. And it is just a really simple raglan style cardigan. It is worked from the top down, and then you pick up the neckband, and you just do some ribbing. And so the one thing, and I was always loving the look of this pattern, but I'm like, you know, there's not a lot to the front here. Like, there's not a lot to, you know, keep baby warm. And I come to realize, and it even says it in the pattern, that babies can be quite warm in the front because they're up against mommy or daddy. And that's why this is such a popular pattern, because it's keeping their little arms and their back warm, but it's keeping them cooler in the front, which makes perfect sense. So yeah, I made 2 of these. A family friend is having her first little bundle of joy, and we do not know the gender of it. Her gender reveal party was supposed to be last weekend, but it got canceled. Mommy got strep throat, unfortunately, or suspected strep. So they just canceled it for everybody's safety, which makes sense. So that's okay. I'm not upset about it. Mommy's health comes first, and baby. But also it's going to give me a little extra time to finish something else that I will show you in works in progress. So again, I will have the designer linked below, but super easy cardigan to knit up. And I think both versions, if you do it in a solid or even a variegated, the picture on the pattern is in a variegated yarn, and it looks beautiful, but I really love the striped version. There was a picture in the pattern of a striped version, and I fell in love with it. So it is a DK weight pattern, and I think I knit this on a 3.5 millimeter needle. I believe the pattern recommends a 375, but my gauge is slightly looser, so my needle size, I guess, doesn't really matter because it all depends on your own gauge, but they are perfect. I knit this in Barocco Vintage Baby, which is a DK weight yarn, and I believe that this one is called Orange, and this one is called Sunflower or Strawflower. I can't remember. I think it was Sunflower, but very beautiful. And it is a composition of acrylic and wool. 40% wool, 60% acrylic. Very beautiful yarn. So I did those. And then the next thing that I finished, I wanted just to do some dishcloths. I was going through my yarn, and I now have my yarn packed away again, and It is so silly, but as soon as I started packing away my yarn, a big thank you to Kaylee because she helped me do this. I have so much yarn, guys. My stash is quite overwhelming, to be honest, but she helped me organize it. And as we were packing things away, I am like pulling pulling balls of yarn out, and I'm just like, I can't pack those. Like, my anxiety just went up. I'm gonna see the yarn again, I'm gonna be able to use it again, but it's just like, oh my God, what am I gonna do with the next few weeks with no yarn? I have works in progress, guys, but it's just one of those things where it's like, oh no, I can't see my yarn. I just can't go get my yarn. It's silly, but it's the truth. So yeah, all that to say, I have a bag full of cotton yarn, and the yarn is just Burnett Handicrafter. You can get it at like Michael's or Walmart. So I decided that I wanted to do up some dishcloths. So I ended up pulling out Christmassy ones, doesn't even matter, but I had this ball here of your traditional Christmas colors, and then I had a solid ball of red. So for this one here, because I knit up 3 of them in total, so this is the first one I did. So I just cast it on, I believe I cast it on something like 26 stitches and just did single crochets until I had, you know, whatever it was across here. It's just a nice square. And then once I was done, I just did a single crochet border to finish it off. And it's really cool. I've never had this happen before, but it's really cool how that design kind of happened there. It's just so neat. Very cool. So I did that one, and then here's the solid red. Same thing, cast it on 26 stitches, just did a single crochet, and then I just went around and did a single crochet border. And then this one here, I wanted to use up my scraps. That way I didn't have any or much left. So I decided that I kind of wanted it to have this look rather than, you know, straight back and forth. So I went online. I knew I had to crochet it on the bias. So I found a pattern. It's called the Textured Crochet Dishcloth by Maria's Blue Crayon. And it's a free pattern. I will link it below. And it starts you off on the bias here. So you increase to a certain point and then you decrease, and then it creates this perfect square. So if you are a knitter, it's very similar to Granny's Favorite Dishcloth. I used to remember who wrote the pattern, but I don't now. It is another fabulous pattern. It is a free one. You could do it with eyelets or without, but it's a very popular one. I've done many of them before, but this is the crocheted version of that. Not by the same designer, but it's just the same idea. You're knitting or crocheting on the bias to get this effect. So it's really, really cool. I really love it. So now I have a set of 3 here. So this is just gonna go into a bin. Keely and I are kind of wanting to, you know, just crochet up some things. She's more of a crocheter than I am, although I started off as one. I prefer my knitting needles. But when it comes to dishcloths, it was actually like really fun to actually crochet them instead of knitting them. I just wanted something fast that was, you know, different. And crocheting is something just a little bit different than knitting. So yeah, we kind of want to do a market. They have a fabulous market in Sackville, New Brunswick, which is close to where we are. And there's another one that's in Nova Scotia as well. So yeah, it's just something that we're thinking about and kind of planning for. So why not? We got all this yarn just sitting around, so that's the plan. So very easy. They were a lot of fun to do. So, and they make great gifts as well. So I did those. And then the next one I have to share with you is actually a hoe. So I'm just gonna take a moment here and put it on a sock blocker. So I have shared these before, and I'm not going to do a spoiler alert on it because the pattern has already been fully revealed. So I did the Stephen West Surprise Sock Along for the Contrast Blast socks. So it was Stephen's first surprise knit along for a sock pattern. So like I said, I'm not gonna do a spoiler thing just because the full pattern has been out there now for 2 weeks, I think. So did I accomplish the whole pair of socks? No, I did not. I really love the sock, but it just takes a little bit of concentration, and I haven't had a lot of concentration. So I did finish the first one, so I am going to show it. Here's the first one. So this is the Contrast Blast by Stephen West, and it is gorgeous. It was so much fun to do. I really love it. So I'm sure you can tell, but it has some pretty cables up here, and then it goes into this kind of staircase stitch, and then we got some purl ridges. It's got a fun heel flap and gusset, and then we've got a pretty cable that runs down your gusset decreases on both sides. And then we have some more purl ridges here at the end before the toe. It's pretty. I really love it. So yeah, this uses 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and as by its name, it's called Contrast Blast. You need 2 skeins of a high contrast yarn. So for mine, I brought the bag, so this is going to start going into works in progress, because as I said, I did not finish them. I know I've talked about this before, but just in case you're new, I'll just quickly go over the yarns. I went to my local yarn store, the Pearl and J here in Kingston. I picked up some H&Arts yarn. This is on their Sock NATO, which is an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 385 yards per 100 grams. So my colorways, and I never know how to pronounce this one. This is my dark purple. And then this is my lighter contrast, Tiny Orchid. Really love that one. And yeah, that is what I got done. So I did cast on the second one, and I have a few more rows of ribbing to go. But it's casted on, it started. I am doing these on Magic Loop. So there is several sizes in the pattern, and I chose to do the 72 stitch. So that is the second size in the pattern. I believe the first one is a 63 stitch count. So the reason why I chose to go up is because this stitch here, it kind of acts as stranded color work of sorts. So it does tend to tighten up. So if you're a really tight knitter, I would suggest that maybe you go up a size in the pattern, or perhaps knit them on a slightly bigger needle. So if it calls for a 2.25, maybe go up a size. I used my 2mm as usual because that's what I have in Magic Loop. I am a loose knitter, but I didn't want it to be too tight. So I went with the 72 stitch. It is a little bit loose in spots, but then when I come to here, where my foot is the widest, I do find it is a little bit tight. So I am glad that I went up. So no complaints there. Very wonderful pattern. And although I said it's somewhat like stranded color work, do not be scared. You are only working with the one color at a time. So that is really cool. The only part that's kind of like stranded color work, I suppose, was here, if I remember right. But yes, this part, this stitch here does tend to tighten up a little bit. So like I said, if you're a tight knitter, go up in needle size or just go up in pattern size if you wish to use your regular needle. So yeah, very beautiful pattern. It was really fun to do. I definitely want to do more Stephen West. I think my favorite part of the pattern has to be the cables because I just love cables. So there is two ways that you could do the sock. This is the right sock. If you want to do two rights, you can do that. But as he says, if you wish to do a right and a left, you can. So what that means is that this stitch here, instead of going this way, it would just go the opposite way. So if that's something that you wish to do, there is instructions for right and left. I haven't gotten to the point yet where I would decide, but I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna do two rights because let's be honest, I'm probably not gonna pay attention when I'm putting them on. So just being honest. So I don't think I'm gonna go through the extra effort of doing the left sock. I'm just gonna repeat what I did here. So Contrast Blast, Stephen West, there is the first one all done. And I do have the second one started. Not far, but it started. So that is a lot of fun. So I'll see if I can get some work done on that. So yeah, I'm just gonna take another quick drink. Okay, so that's it for finished objects. So I guess we'll continue on into works in progress. So I brought along another sock project. This you guys have already seen a few times and I'm still not done them. I showed this one as a finished object a while ago. It only took me like 3 days to complete this sock. I am not following any particular pattern. I just cast it on 64 stitches. I'm doing a 2x2 rib for the cuff. And then for the main body of the sock, I am doing a 3x1 rib, and in between, I guess they would call it a broken rib. So I knit 3 purl 1 for one row, and then I knit a plain row. And then the next row is a 3x1 rib and then a plain knit row. So that's all I'm doing for the leg and the foot of the sock. I did a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset with the garter tab on the side of the gusset. So yeah, I flew through the first sock and now the second one is dragging a little bit. I don't know why. I believe when I podcasted and showed this last, I was here at my Progress Keeper. This is a cute keeper that I got as part of the Sock Society box from Arkansas Yarn Co., which I really love. And I've gotten this far, so I'm getting there. I got through my gusset and I am almost finished the foot now, going on to the toe, so it's getting there. I was really hoping to have it done for this podcast, but it just didn't happen, which is okay. So I'm probably going to work on this tonight and see if I can finish it. But this one is a lot of fun. I definitely need to have a vanilla sock going, and it's really weird because a lot of people don't like to purl. I don't mind purling. I am a continental knitter, so I find purling to be just as fast as a knit stitch. And ribbing to me is actually kind of like vanilla. It's not too boring, so it's like vanilla, but there's some interest. You still have to keep you have to pay attention to a certain point. So I rather enjoy a rib sock, and they fit better. They stay up better too. So there's that one. And then the next project I am doing, oh yeah, I never told you what yarn that was. I'm sorry. One second. We're just gonna go back to that sock. I have showed it before, but I really love it. I picked it up from Yarn It in Cobourg, Ontario. And I love it because it does the marling, kind of like zebra yarn, but it's got that black thread through it. So it is the Comfort Sock and Wool. And it is in the color number 8837. So it is 75% superwash and 25% polyamide. And yeah, it is just a really nice workhorse type yarn. So if you're familiar to Opal, Regia, Patton's Croix, something like that, it's just a very nice hard wearing sock. It's really nice yarn. So I just wanted to share that because I forgot. Anyways, so now going on to the next work in progress. Because I'm doing the baby gifts, I decided that I wanted to do some type of little toy or something like that to add in with the gift because they are just so cute. And I was watching, I believe it was Emily from the Salt City Knits podcast, and I believe that she knit one of these as a gift or for her new grandson. So I saw it and I thought it was so adorable. So this is the Nubble Chin. So I've seen them before, but this is my first time making one. So here it is. So it's not, obviously it's not finished yet. I still have to do his little hat. But here is my Nubble Chin. So if I remember correctly, it is like a German toy and it's for babies. And you do not stuff the body of it. You just leave it flat and baby can grab onto it. And I think that is so cute and so adorable. And if I remember correctly, you are supposed to, I'm just going to do this quickly. You're supposed to like tie the, like knot the ends of his arms and his little legs here. That way baby can, you know, grab onto him. He's just so cute. So for this, I just grabbed some scraps from my my little scrap pile. I showed my baby blanket that I did, my Rising Star crocheted baby blanket. I just finally got pictures of it posted to my Ravelry if you wish to check it out. But yeah, I just pulled some colors from the blanket as well as the sweaters just to kind of make a set. And I really love these ones together. So this is what I chose. It is fingering weight, and don't mind my little face because I'm really not good at stuff like that. But yeah, that's my Nubble Chin. It's so cute and I really love it. So it is worked from the top down, and then you just knit his little ligaments in the round. I just magic looped it, but you could do DPNs. And as I said, he still needs a hat, so it's gonna have like a little pointed hat on it. And I think it's gonna be adorable. I can't wait to finish him. So yeah, so this is also, like I said, it's gonna go with the blanket and the sweaters. And yeah, we're just gonna put together a nice little gift for her. And I hope she likes it. And I hope baby enjoys the little toy. I think they're super cute. And I think I would like to make more in the future because it was a lot of fun. So that is my Nubble Chin, and I will post the designer below in the description, just because again I would pronounce and butcher the name terribly. So yeah, it's so cute. So that is something else I've been working on. So I guess I have been knitting, it's just sometimes it doesn't feel like a lot. So I have one more that I'm going to show you, just because I felt like I didn't have a lot. So in the process of packing everything, I packed away some of my works in progress. So I do have a few, and I'm not gonna tell you how many because it's kind of embarrassing, but one of the projects that I'm kind of planning out for, you know, the next couple weeks prior to moving, and also the road trip, I want to make sure that I have road trip appropriate knits with me, which is something that's simple and mindless and easy. I don't want to look at my phone or a pattern to follow. I just want to knit. So one of the projects that I decided to pull out is one of my blankets, and it is in one of my cute kitty cat bags that I had gotten from Knit Picks a long time ago, and I really love it. It's a nice size tote bag, and it does have a snap closure on it. So I have showed this on the podcast before, but then I kind of put it away when the warm weather set in. But my local dollar store, they had balls of the Lion Brand Mandala roving, and this one here is, let me see, it's 100% acrylic, 415 yards per 150 grams, and it is in the sandstone colorway. And it just has these beautiful tones of brown. So I end up picking up 4 of these, and I couldn't understand, you know, it's a really nice yarn. It's super soft. It is like a single ply yarn. Why would it be at the dollar store? Well, I have discovered that at the color changes and in some other spots, they are tied together in knots. I don't care. This is just a plain garter stitch blanket that is going to be made into a throw, so you can cozy up into it on those chilly nights and keep nice and warm. So I don't care. So I am not following a pattern. I have just casted on a certain number of stitches. I believe I created a Ravelry page for this, and I'm gonna say I casted on something like 260 stitches, and I'm just doing plain knit, so it's just gonna be a squishy garter stitch blanket, and it's lovely. I am knitting it on US 10 Chagu 6mm, and yeah, it is in the middle of a row, but it is just straight garter stitch. So see if I can do this. You can see that it started off with the cream and it went to the darker brown, and now I'm into the second ball, so we're starting that process again. And I've got 4 balls in total, so all 4 balls are going to go into it, and once they're done, it's done. So I'm kind of wondering, just to change it up, make it more interesting, once I get the second ball in, should I start with the darker brown, so I would have a wider stripe of brown in the middle of the blanket, and then go in that fading sequence or striping sequence, just to change it up and make it more interesting. What do you guys think? I'm not sure yet. But either way, it's gonna be a cozy, squishy blanket that I'm really looking forward to. And yeah, as you can see here, you can clearly see the purl bumps, but I don't care. I'm not being particular about that. I am just knitting, and when the ball runs out, I add in the new one. Don't care about it. Just gonna knit it, and it's going to be lovely. I put my progress keeper on it, so when I put it away in the spring, I had that much knitted on it. And this is what I managed to do yesterday when I picked it back up. I got a progress keeper from Ocean Loop Studio. Absolutely love her work. So it's just on there, and it's just gonna let me know how much I'm accomplishing. I've been seeing all the blankets that Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady, has been doing, and that's kind of the inspiration to pulling out a blanket whip and doing it. So it's starting to cool down a little bit here. We did have very hot, humid weather. Yesterday was actually pretty humid. We had some storms roll through, and it cooled down, and then a second system come through. We actually took a day off, and we went to the mall and had some fun, and went to Chapters. It's my birthday in a couple days, the 15th, and so we went to Chapters. And so yeah, we just took the day off and went, and we went to come out of the mall to go into Chapters, and we were like, oh my god, it's so humid. So today it's a little bit better. It's still warm, but it was actually cool enough for me to wear one of my cardigans, not a knit cardigan, it's just a store-bought one, not too heavy, but it was so nice just to be in a cozy cardigan. I loved it. I have to take it off in the apartment because the apartment is way too warm. You still need the AC on in here, but cooler weather is coming, especially in the Maritimes, I know. So yeah, definitely I'm gonna start thinking about blankets and sweaters again. I did set aside my Turtle Dove sweater by Esbastrico. I wanted to have that for road trip knitting and accidentally boxed it. So it's packed, which is okay. I am not unpacking the box. But so yeah, I did see that another sweater pattern has caught my attention, and I might have kept yarn aside for it. So yeah, it could happen. It will happen probably. We'll see. But anyways, I am definitely thinking about blankets and sweaters right now. So that is it for the knitting and crocheting content. I have no more to share with you. I still have a pair of Shorty socks on the go, and I also have my Rhinebeck Roomy socks, which I'm hoping to accomplish by August 31st, which is the end of Kay's summer sock camp. But I don't know if that will happen yet. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it's okay. But it would be nice to have them cleared off my needles, because I want to have vanilla sock knitting or rib sock knitting for the road trip. So that is the plan. So if you wish to say goodbye now, I totally understand. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful, crafty rest of your weekend and a good week ahead. But if you wish to see my one stash enhancement and a little bit of book talk, then stay tuned. Cheers. Okay, so because it is my birthday month, I did decide to spoil myself. So for the first time, I used, I do not know how to pronounce it correctly, so I'm just going to show you. It was my first time working with their yarn, and I did my heel toe dosito socks by Kay, Crazy Sock Lady, and I really, really loved the yarn. It kind of did a self-striping effect. I just fell in love with it. I love the colors and everything. So I decided that I would like to have another one of their yarns and try them out. So I'm not quite sure how this one is going to knit up or look, but I just really, really love the colors. So I went directly onto their website. So this one is on their Anna base, which is fingering, 80% merino, 20% nylon, 100 grams, 337 meters. It is a superwash, and the color is Tequila Sunrise. Yes, Tequila Sunrise, which I love the name, but I also just love those colors. It's so pretty. So pretty. So it comes in 2 50-gram skeins, so you can knit 1 sock per skein. You could also have bought this with a contrasting mini. So the mini, the mini would have been like this lighter pink color. It would have been a lighter pink color. So you did have that option of having a pink mini with it. I was very tempted, but I just chose to do these because I do have light pink minis here. So I'm just trying to be a little bit more conscious. I do have a pretty good size mini stash, and I want to try to use through my stash. So I didn't bother getting the contrasting mini. I believe it's a 20 gram. Because that's what come with my other sock set by them. But yeah, it's just so pretty. So I decided to treat myself with that. So I'm super excited. So that was my one yarn acquisition. I'm still being a good girl with the yarn purchasing, because like I said, I do want to go through my stash. Because when you start to pack your stash, it's quite embarrassing how much you have. But you can never have too much yarn. Am I right? I'm right. Okay, so book talk. I fell back into the rabbit hole of reading books, I'm gonna say about a month ago. Just with my stress and my anxiety, knitting has always been my form of therapy. But I decided I actually went to a dollar store, and it's in Brighton, Ontario, and they had books, and really good books too. And I got this book. It was Moon Dust Lake by Davis Bunn, and it looked really interesting. It sounded really interesting. So I ended up purchasing it, and I just flew through the book. I absolutely loved it. So I think I spoke about this on the last podcast before, but I end up realizing I downloaded the Kindle app, and I prefer to hold a physical book in my hands. It's just a whole thing. But I really wanted to read a book in particular, which I'll speak about in a minute. But in doing so, I realized that Moondust Lake is part of a series. There are 7 books in the series, and Moondust Lake, I believe, is the 3rd book. So now I gotta find the other ones and read them. So Kindle Unlimited does have a couple of the books in the series, but the very first one is not. So I'm not going to purchase it right away, because I am reading another thing. But yeah, I just hate when that happens. I prefer to start at the beginning of a series. But there are 7 books in that series, so just a warning if you do want to read it. So yeah. Moving on, I finished Moondust Lake by Davis Bunn. It was a really good book. I called it a psychological type book. It kind of resonated with my past, and it's about dealing with, you know, demons, and instead of living in the past, you confront them and try to deal with them. And that's been a struggle with my journey, and it was a really good book to read. On Goodreads, I did start an account with Goodreads because I'd like to keep track of the books that I have read, and you can also set book goals. I haven't set a book goal, but it'll just help me remember what I have read, and it's kind of cool to look back and see what you do manage to read within a year. But all that to say, they also do book reviews, and some people said that Moondust Lake was really good, but it felt a little bit disjointed, and I do agree with that. As I was reading it, it kind of went all over the place, and you couldn't get a firm grip on some of the characters in it. However, the first book in the series and a couple of the other books, they do have really good reviews on them. So I am curious, and I do want to read the first, like the other books in that series. But for right now, I have decided to go elsewhere. So the new book that I am currently reading, I am actually reading it on my Kindle, or my phone or my tablet, but I'm reading it through the Kindle app. So I was watching Kay the Crazy Sock Lady, and she had just finished The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I was intrigued, and Kay gave it a stellar review. She said that it was very captivating, and the ending has a good twist to it. So I was like pretty excited about that, and I went on to Amazon, and I was about to buy the book, but because we are moving and we already have a good collection of books, I didn't want to add to what we have to take with us. So I decided there is a Kindle version, so I ended up buying the Kindle version. You can get it on Audible, but I do not want to hear the book. I want to read the book. It's bad enough that I am reading it through my phone, because like I said, I am the type of person to hold the physical book. But I am loving this book so much. The author's name is Taylor Jenkins Reid, I believe, and I absolutely love her. This is my first book by her, and I am obsessed with it. I have been reading through it. There is a lot of chapters in the book, but it is amazing, very captivating. It's based off of a Hollywood starlet. She is based from a movie star back in the 50s, and it is just so captivating. It is amazing. So I would highly recommend it, and I'm not even finished the book yet, but it is very captivating. So I would highly recommend it as well. If you go online, it does have a lot of good reviews as well, and they kind of say that it's loosely written around Elizabeth Taylor, so it's kind of cool. Normally, my reads that I did prior, like years ago, I first started reading Harlequin romance. I was big into romance. Don't get me wrong, I still love a romance, but I am trying to expand. My tastes have changed, shall we say. But there is still some spicy spots in there. There's still some, there's good gossipy parts in there. There's lots of it. So I really like that as well. So I'm reading that one right now, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Highly recommend it. So that's what I'm doing right now. That one's on Kindle. There are a couple other books by her that I would like to read. So like I said, I my prior reading experience was Harlequin romance. My favorite author of all time is Debbie Macomber. I have a lot of her books. Nicholas Sparks is another one. Nora Roberts. But like I said, I'm trying to expand my reading material. So yeah, that's what I'm currently reading. And then because it is my birthday coming up, like I said, we went to Chapters. Kaylee and I went to Chapters. Kaylee is, like I said before, she's a knitter. She is a crocheter. And I'm losing you again, I'm sorry. But she is also a huge bookworm. And yeah, we are gonna have so many yarn and books. When we get to our new place, it's not gonna be funny, but it is what we love. So we decided we were going to Chapters, and it's Kaylee's birthday at the end of August as well. So we treated ourselves. So I saw this book and I just had to get it. I have a older soft cover of this, but it is The Hobbit. And once I saw it on the shelf, I automatically had to bring it home with me because it is just so beautiful. I had to. And my obsession with The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, it's all on you, ma tante. No regrets though. I really love The Hobbit. And it's got beautiful big letters, and it's well illustrated. I am super excited that I got this copy. So I have not started reading this one yet, but I am really glad that it is in my collection. So I got that one. And then this one I bought off of Amazon. So it's kind of both for me and Kaylee. Kaylee has the Hunger Games books, but this is the newest one that come out. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. So I have only watched the movies. I have never watched or read the books. So I am super excited, and I know that the new movie is coming out for this, or has it already come out? I can't remember. So I had to get it. This is kind of a birthday gift for both of us. So it has it's really nice. I just love physical books, and I ended up splurging for the hard copy of it because I prefer a hard copy versus a softback or paperback. So this one is a lot of fun as well. So I'm not sure how I want to go about this. Because I've watched all the movies, I know that the books can be totally different than the movies sometimes. Do I want to read the books first and then come to this one? I don't know how I want to go about it just yet. But I got it regardless. It's now in our collection. So I'm pretty excited. I don't know, I might just read this one and then go back and read the other ones after. I'm not quite sure yet how I want to go about that. And then yesterday when we were at Chapters, I picked up this book. It is by C.C. Humphreys, and it is Someday I'll Find You. So it's kind of a World War II love story. Totally, I love historic romances, and when I read this one, it just sounded so beautiful, and the book itself is very beautiful. So I decided that this one was going to come home with me. I think I was drawn to this one because I used to watch As Time Goes By. It was a British show with Judy Dench, and it's kind of the same thing. She was a nurse in the war and he was a soldier, and they fell in love, and then life kind of happened and separated them, and then years later, in their golden years, they refound each other and their love reunited and reblossomed, I should say. So it was a really good show. I watched it from the very beginning through all the seasons. I can't remember how many seasons there were. I used to watch it on TBS. Can't remember. But it was just a really amazing show. It was very hilarious too, very amusing and funny. But this book kind of reminded me of that love story. So it sounds really good. So which one am I going to read next? I'm not really sure. It might be this one, but I am the type of person I can only read one book at a time. And right now I am very much enjoying Evelyn Hugo. So I am going through that one. So yeah, that is my little book segment. As you can see, I have completely fallen down the rabbit hole of reading, and I have no regrets at all. I absolutely love reading. So yeah, that is my life the past couple of weeks. I hope you guys have been having a good one. I hope you're doing what makes you happy and life isn't too stressful. And if it is, you can find small comforts like reading or knitting or a good friend, a good glass of wine. Yep, I hope that you can find that, because that's what gets me through my days, is my crafts, my know me, my family, and yes, a good glass of wine at night to mellow out. No regrets. So anyways, guys, I will stop babbling and let you go. As I said earlier, show notes can be found down below. And yeah, until next time, happy knitting. Bye.